Assalamualaikum students. Welcome to your first class. Today the topic that you are going to study is what is science. This is the first chapter of your book, and if you go and open your page number 5 of your book, you can see the topic written there. So students, what comes to your mind when I say science? Just think for a moment. And if you have somebody sitting near you, you have to tell them what is science, what comes to your mind. So, science is basically the study of the natural world and what is beyond it. Science is the study of the world. Allah has created this huge world that we live in, and there are so many things that need to be explored. Everything needs to be explored. How the things in the world are happening, how the water is flowing, how the physical nature is or the nature is functioning. So the study of everything that is inside this earth that we live in is called science. Not only the world we live in, but also what is beyond it. There's a huge universe that we are a part of. There are millions of galaxies that we are a part of. There are so many planets, like here. This is the sun, and these are the other planets that are part of the solar system. So, the study of everything, the study of the natural world and what is beyond it, the study of the universe is called science. So, student, who is the person that studies the natural world and what is beyond it? What do we call that person? Can you guess? If you have a rough paper with you, then you can write it down. You can write down your guess, or you can just tell it to somebody who's sitting next to you. Okay? Or you can just say it loud. So, I hope you have guessed it. And I'm going to tell you, and you can just check whether you have guessed it right. Okay? So, the person who studies the natural world and what is beyond it is called a scientist. Is called a scientist. Scientists are the people who study the universe, study what's happening in this world, the natural phenomena that is happening, how things are happening. They explore things, they research about them, they investigate about them, and they explore things. There are different types of scientists in this world. For example, an astronomer. An astronomer is a person who studies galaxy, who studies about stars, galaxies, what's happening inside the sky, in the sky, the galaxy. Another type of scientist is a botanist. A botanist is a person who studies plants. So these are two types of scientists. I'm just giving you two examples. So can you just guess any other types of scientists? If you can guess, then you can just write down the name of those scientists. Alright? So now we know that what is science and what do scientists do. Okay? So students, now how do scientists work? How do scientists find out what they need to find out? So they do observation and investigation. Scientists observe different things in the universe, and then they investigate it. They ask questions, they explore things, they observe things, then they investigate about it, they ask questions, and then they experiment. So how do they work? They observe, they investigate, and they experiment to find out what they need to find out. Okay? You have to repeat after me. observe, investigate, and experiment. So now I want you to open your book and open page number 6 of your book. Okay, so let's start reading from the page. Let's just zoom this in. Okay, let's start reading. Science involves making observations and performing investigations. Scientists learn by thinking critically about the results of their investigation. So, what do scientists do? They do observations and then they perform investigations. They observe something and then they experiment it. Then they investigate it. How is this happening? What is the phenomenon that is happening behind a certain thing? Okay, first of all they do observations and then they perform investigations. Okay, investigators to find about something. Observe is to keenly look at something from all point of view. Okay, and then scientists critically think about the results of their investigation. They think that, okay, they don't bring their personal choices into their thinking. They just critically analyze it, that it can be happening this way, or it is happening this way, but this can also happen. So they critically analyze it from all the point of view. So okay, in this picture you can see a chameleon. Okay, chameleon is what we call girgit in Urdu. This is a chameleon. Okay, so how do chameleons change color? You must have heard that phrase in Urdu, which is girgit ki tarah rang badalna, to change color like a chameleon, because they change their colors. According to their situation, they change the colors of their body. They're naturally born this way. So, do they change color to blend into the environment? Research it online. I've already told you, but you can further research it if you want. And you have to write down how do they change color. You have to research it because you are also a scientist in the making. So you have to research it online just like a scientist does. Scientist researches about things. If he sees a thing, he researches about it, or he or she. Okay, so this is a chameleon which changes color. How does it do it? You have to search it online. So now you have to open page number 7 of your book and you can see the topic, think like a scientist. To think like a scientist, you need to understand the difference between your observations and your opinions. This is called critical thinking. Yes, critical thinking does not involve your opinions. Whatever you may have opinion about something, you cannot just put your opinion while you are investigating about something, or while you are just performing an experiment. You have to put your opinions aside. Whatever you feel like should not uh, affect your research and your observations. So this is called critical thinking. You have to critically analyze something. Okay. Now, an observation is when you carefully watch and listen to something in order to collect information. An opinion is a personal judgment that can be true or false. So now you can see the difference between an observation and opinion. An observation is when carefully watch and listen to something. If you're listening to this lecture right now very carefully, then you are doing an observation. Then you're observing something. Okay? And you're also collecting information. An opinion, you may have opinion about this lecture that I did not understand it, or I have understood it very well. So this is your opinion. But to just listen and to gather information is called an observation. So he says, every picture I see of a chameleon leads me to think that they change color to blend into their environment. So, well, I think they just change color randomly. How can a lizard change its color to blend into its environment? They are not that smart. So this boy, he is doing an observation, whereas this girl is giving an opinion. That is the difference. Okay, this boy, he says that I think that every time I see a picture of a chameleon, it leads to me saying that they change the color to blend into the environment. He's observing something, he's thinking something, and she says, well, I think she thinks, this is her opinion, that they just randomly change color. How can just a lizard change its color to blend into the environment? This is wrong, because they do change color. Chameleons do change color. That is their main, they're gifted with this trait. Okay, so this is an critical thinking. This is critical thinking, where this is just a personal opinion. That is the difference. Okay, do you have do you also have opinions about chameleon? If you have, then you can just write it down on your piece of paper. So students, in this lecture that you have studied what is science. That science is the study of nature, and you have studied what do scientists do. They study nature. And how do? They investigate and observe. And what is the difference between observation and critical thinking? This is your lesson for you today. Now you have to revise this at your home, and you have to find out about chameleons. How do they change color? You have to research about it. You have to observe and research about it. This is your task for today, because in the next lecture we are going to study more about chameleons. Okay, so that you may have any idea about chameleons when we study in the next lecture. So I'm going to see you then. Take care.